watching out for you.
Did you ever run for office again?
No.
That's a firm no.
Oh, good Lord, I'm 77, man.
Well, former Governor John Kitzhaber right there, and he is out of the day-to-day of politics, and that appears to suit the Democrat just fine. For years, though, he was the top politician in the state, elected a record 4 times as governor.
Now he has not done a sit-down interview in more than 9 years. I recently caught up with him. For a man who now lives out of the spotlight, the former ER doctor remains passionate about his favorite topic, Oregon. About 9 years since you resigned. You miss it?
I miss the forum. I miss, I think the thing I miss the most is the convening authority. I think the greatest power that a governor has is the ability to bring people of disparate views together.
He goes by John these days, not governor, not doctor.
I think it's absolutely a ticking time bomb.
But when it comes to discussing health care or his time in office, John Kitzhaber still has a lot to say, if you ask.
Having an open dialogue is so important. I think so many people who watch at home think that, and yet it's kind of difficult to do these days.
We certainly had our political differences, but I think people were able to separate personalities from politics in a way that's more difficult today. I don't know what the change is. I think probably 24-hour network news is part of it. I think probably the internet's a part of it.
The 77-year-old bemoans the current partisanship gripping our state politics and much of the country.
If you can't develop those personal relationships and see beyond the politics to the person you're dealing with, it's very difficult.
He points to the larger benefits of the Oregon Health Plan and the environmentally praised Salmon Watershed Program as his biggest accomplishments in the governor's office.
And now the right thing to do is to step aside.
What a historic day. This day will be remembered.
But then, in early 2015, a scandal no one could ignore, involving his partner and her business dealings in rural and state government. It forced the popular Gov, only weeks into an unprecedented 4th term, to suddenly resign.
Well, it was a set of circumstances that sort of caught up with me, and I don't have any regrets about that.
Since then, Kitzhaber largely avoids politics day to day. He tells me the state's leaders of today go their own way.
Picking up the phone every week and trying to feel stuff out.
If they wanted my advice, they'd call me, and they haven't.
Still, this past session, for the first time in 9 years, he was back in Salem, pushing a bill that targets major health insurance and private equity players already moving into our backyard.
They're buying up physician practices in the state of Oregon, buying up nursing homes, buying up all sorts of healthcare infrastructure. And when you take the control over the practice of medicine out of the community and send it to a corporation in Minneapolis or in St. Louis, it doesn't work out well for the individual who's seeking care.
The bill eventually stalled out. Perhaps most of all these days, Kitzhaber remains a fierce advocate for Portland and the state, even if things are different than when he was in charge.
You have economic issues in St. Helens and in Portland. The root causes may be somewhat different, but the impact on people is exactly the same. I wouldn't give up on Oregon ever, and I wouldn't give up on Portland. We just have to roll up our sleeves and figure out how to move forward together.
Now, the former governor would not talk about everything. There was no comment when it comes to our current governor and her own issues involving her wife and her role in state government. He also would not talk much about how the recent pro-Palestine protests were handled, only saying state leaders are, quote, in a tough spot.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were asking, like, are you going to ask those questions? And of course you did. So you got those responses. Something else, Todd. So I understand, of course, he does the occasional speech, policy paper, but then what else is he doing on his day-to-day now?
Well, he's still raising his 27-year-old son, spends a lot of time with him, spends a lot of time fly fishing, still whitewater rafts, things he's always loved to do. And I think most of all, he still enjoys living in the Portland area, spends time in Bend. He's just a big advocate for the state as a whole.
Yeah, and that's interesting to get this perspective from someone who knows a lot about Oregon politics and, as you said, does really care about the state, as so many of us do.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Todd.